Welcome to the deep dive. Ever wondered how you could, soup up those classic Tamiya Grasshopper buggies?
Oh, yeah, the Grasshopper and the Grasshopper 2 icons.
Exactly. So today we're diving into how you actually transform them into their higher spec cousins, the Hornet and the Super Hornet.
Right. We've got this guide, it seems pretty detailed, covering all the part differences and, well, what actually makes these upgrades work.
It's fascinating how much people still love these entry-level kits, isn't it?
Totally. They were, and still are, just known for being straightforward to build, really robust, tough as
And
nails.
affordable. That's why they're still popular. Even the re-releases sell well.
And Tamiya, well, they cleverly based the faster Hornet and Super Hornet on that same fundamental chassis design.
Which is great because it means these upgrades are actually doable, right? Component swaps mostly.
Exactly. So our mission today is basically to pull out the key info you need to understand these mods. What are the big differences? What do you need to think about?
Okay, let's jump in. Grasshopper, the original GH1, turning into a Hornet. Where do we start?
Well, the best part is the core similarity. That ABS plastic bathtub chassis,
Yeah.
it's identical.
The main frame of the car.
Exactly. Sometimes you even find a Hornet chassis tub that still has RCC Grasshopper stamped on it from the mold.
Really? Okay, so chassis is the same. What about power? That's going to be different.
Oh, yeah, big difference. The Grasshopper runs that smaller 380 size motor.
Yeah.
It even uses an adapter plate, MA18, I think it is.
Right.
But the Hornet, it steps up to the standard 540 motor. More power, more speed.
So job one is ditching that adapter plate?
Yep. Take out the adapter, the 540 fits right in. But you also need to change the pinion gear.
The little gear on the motor shaft itself.
Correct. The Grasshopper has this, 10-tooth brass one that's just pressed on.
Okay.
The Hornet needs an 18-tooth pinion, 0.8 module pitch, crucially, secured with a little grub screw, much better connection, handles the 540 power.
Gotcha. Different gear, better mounting. What about suspension? Grasshoppers bounce, right?
Ooh, they definitely bounce. Basic friction springs on the rear axle. People call them pogo sticks for a reason.
Huh. So the Hornet must improve on that.
Massively. It gets proper oil-filled CVA dampers on the rear, those cylindrical shock absorbers.
Constant volume adjustable, right? Oil inside.
That's the one. They control the rebound so much better, keeps the tires, more consistently on the ground, better handling, less bouncing.
Makes sense. What about how the whole rear end attaches? I read something about a floating axle.
Yeah, that's another key difference. The Grasshopper's rear gearbox just pivots up and down on fixed points.
A couple.
The Hornet uses what Tamiya called a live axle setup. Different D parts, these plastic pieces, and a long metal shaft, 4 by 95 millimeter, I think.
Okay, so what does that do?
Well, it allows the whole rear axle and gearbox assembly to pivot slightly side to side, as well as up and down. The idea was maybe better traction on uneven ground, but it's also famous for causing that gearbox slap sound when the suspension bottoms out.
Right, I've heard about that. And the body's different too, isn't it?
Totally. Grasshopper, hard ABS plastic, screws directly to the chassis sides. Hornet, lightweight polycarbonate, or Lexan, needs body posts and clips.
So you can't just swap the shells easily.
Nope, different mounting. You'd need the Hornet D parts for the body posts, too.
Okay, so essentials for the GH1 to Hornet conversion. 540 motor, that 18T pinion.
The CVA short shock set, built to 94 millimeter for the rear.
Those Hornet D parts, that's 900-5156.
And the real challenge, the discontinued damper parts bag, 9400194.
Why is that bag so critical
Yeah.
and tricky?
It has that specific 4 by 95 millimeter shaft for the floating axle, the little axle pivot springs, and the lower shock mounts. Key bits.
So finding that bag new is tough.
Very tough. Our source says you're likely looking at the used market, maybe finding them parts individually if you're lucky, or perhaps even fabricating something.
Got it. And supporting upgrades, bearings, ESC.
Oh, definitely recommended. Full ball bearings make everything smoother, less friction. And an ESC, an electronic speed controller, replaces the old mechanical one for much better throttle control.
Good tips. We mentioned gearbox slaps. Any quick fixes?
Yeah, people do things like adding a screw to limit the upward travel, or their aftermarket braces like the AMPRO one. Also, folks often tape the battery door shut for security.
Okay, let's switch gears. Grasshopper isn't it to Super Hornet? Similar idea.
Similar concept, yeah, but with different specific parts. The GH2 actually introduced a new chassis tub design.
Which the Super Hornet also used.
Right, and interestingly, the GH2 gearbox is basically the same as the original Hornet's gearbox.
So motor upgrade is the same. 380 out, 540 ins.
Exactly, and you still need that 18-tooth pinion for the 540.
But suspension must be different again. GH2 had friction shocks all round, didn't it?
It did, 4 of them, but still just friction dampers. The Super Hornet gets the full CVA oil damper treatment.
All four corners this time.
Yep. Mini CVAs, the 5059 kit built to 64mm for the front, and the short CVAs, 5 to 520 at 94mm for the rear.
Oh.
Big handling upgrade.
And the mounting is beefier, too.
Yeah, the Super Hornet has different, more robust, lower rear shock mounts integrated into its rear bumper assembly, uses different parts, trees, X and Y parts.
Sounds like finding Super Hornet parts might be even harder, though.
Unfortunately, yes. A lot of Super Hornet-specific stuff is discontinued. The body, the unique wheels, maybe even the body mount D parts. It's a tougher conversion today.
What are the options, then?
Well, the Rising Fighter buggy shares some similarities, and parts are more available. Some people use Rising Fighter parts, or honestly might just build a Rising Fighter if they want that kind of setup now.
Good point. Any other potential issues? Like the diff?
Yeah, with the 540 motor, the standard bevel gear differential might struggle a bit with the torque. You might get more wheel spin.
A fix for that.
Sometimes just packing the diff with thicker grease can help give it a bit more limited slip action.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the core idea is leveraging these shared Tamiya platforms.
Exactly. It's about knowing which key components, motor, suspension, sometimes body mounts, make the performance difference.
And doing the conversion is a great learning experience too, right? You really understand the car.
Absolutely. Better performance, plus you gain that hands-on knowledge. It's pretty rewarding.
So a final thought for you listening.
Yeah.
Think about Tamiya's whole design philosophy here. Shared platforms, different performance levels. How does that influence the hobby?
Yeah. And where else do we see this? This kind of modularity, these clear upgrade paths. What other hobbies or technologies benefit from thinking like this? It really lets enthusiasts, get deep into customization.
It's a great question. It really highlights how understanding the basics lets you build something more.
Definitely encourages tinkering and learning.
So if this deep dive has got you thinking about digging out an old Grasshopper, definitely check out the online RC forums and communities.
Oh yeah, tons of build logs, part tips, creative solutions out there. You'll find plenty of help.
Absolutely. Go explore and happy wrenching.